Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? It is time for us to dive deep into these tight ends. I'm talking about the football kind. It is week 12. We've got 6 teams on a bye this week. Good news, we're not really missing any of our top tight ends. Bad news, we are going to be missing a few starters, and the tight end position is already very shallow, so we may need to dive deep to find some guys that we can utilize this week. On Thursday Night Football, we've got a rock solid option in David Njoku, but if you're looking to stream Pat Freiermuth, I would go a different direction. The guy has not had more than 3 targets in a game since week 4, and he scored a touchdown a couple of weeks ago, but that was only on 3 targets. It put him inside the top 12, and it was the first time that he had been a top 20 tight end in weeks. I know the tight end position is bare, but if you're trying to start a guy that's only averaging 3 targets per week, you're asking for trouble. David Njoku is the complete opposite though. 5 straight games with at least 7 targets. He's one of the go-to guys in this offense. And even with the wide receivers getting a ton of volume right now, Jameis Winston has not forgotten about David Njoku. And he's definitely a must start every single week right now. I'm not really sure what Sam Darnold was doing last week because he completely forgot that TJ Hawkinson isn't on the IR anymore and that he can actually throw passes his way, because TJ Hawkinson saw an extreme dip in volume from the week prior. Minnesota really should be utilizing him a whole lot better, but I think that was a one-time thing, and he gets back on track this week going up against the Bears. And for Cole Kmet, he only had 3 targets last week, and he's at best the number 4 option on this team right now. When all the wide receivers are healthy, there's really no need to look at him. And even DeAndre Swift may be a better target than him right now. Man, Sam Laporta had a great matchup last week against Jacksonville, and he wasn't healthy. And this week he's got another great matchup against Indianapolis, but he may not play again. It wouldn't shock me if Sam Laporta sits for a second straight week. Detroit should win this game, and trying to bring back Sam Laporta right now doesn't make a whole lot of sense when everybody else is healthy. Let him fully recuperate and then get him back out there when it matters most. So are we going to start Sam Laporta this week? If he's playing and he's healthy, absolutely we will. And he probably becomes a medium risk at that point due to the injury and maybe the amount of playing time. But if he is ruled out once again this week and you want a sneaky touchdown option, just like I told you all last week, I would go back to Brock Wright again. There's not really anyone to utilize over on the Indianapolis side though for the tight end position. Number 1, it's a tough matchup. Number 2, Kylen Granson, Drew Ogletree, and Mo Alley-Cox, they all see a basically 3-way split in terms of targets and snap percentage. Hunter Henry got back on track last week with 9 targets to lead the team, his first tight end 1 performance in 3 weeks. And Drake May does continue to look his way quite a bit. He's been looking towards Demario Douglas and some of the other wide receivers a little bit more as of recent, but maybe this is the game we need to get Hunter Henry going once again. And it really isn't all that bad of a matchup in terms of volume as well. Jonnu Smith has really established himself with some nice top 12 upside at the tight end position. His floor can be a little shaky at times, but I'm willing to bet that right now, he's the number 2 target in Miami over Jalen Waddle. Jonnu Smith has been way better so far this season, and if Tua keeps looking his direction, he could end up being a championship winner down the stretch. I know a lot of owners who are going to be really happy to have Cade Otton back this week, a top 12 tight end 4 of the last 5 weeks. But do things change this week? Mike Evans is expected to be back, and maybe something changes prior to kickoff and Mike Evans doesn't end up playing this week. But for Cade Otton, it's also a really tough matchup. Mike Evans being back plus that tough matchup means he's got to be a medium risk for me. If Mike Evans were to end up missing, then I do go back to him as being a low-risk start. There's going to be some questions for the New York Giants as well, though, this week, with Tommy DeVito starting in place of Daniel Jones. Does DeVito look to Theo Johnson a little bit more often? Because that could end up being great. Johnson has saw 6 targets in each of the last 2 games. And if he gets 6 targets again this week in this matchup, he's got top 12 tight end potential written all over him. Unfortunately, Jake Ferguson ended up leaving Monday Night Football like 5 minutes into the game with a concussion. And because it was Monday Night Football, it may be really difficult for him to get back by Sunday this coming week. Luke Schoonmaker had double-digit targets, though, from Cooper Rush after Jake Ferguson left the game. If you're going to give me double-digit targets for a tight end, I'm absolutely going to invest in him as a streaming option. If there's no Jake Ferguson, then take a look at Luke Schoonmaker just in case. Zach Ertz this week for me is a little bit riskier than what we've seen from him as of late. He scored that touchdown last week, which was super clutch for fantasy owners. But touchdown potential every single week is difficult for the tight end to find in this offense because he hasn't really been looked at in that capacity. He's been largely basing his fantasy value off volume, and that might not be here this week. For me personally, finding a touchdown again is great, but it's going to be risky because if the volume isn't there, that's great if he has a touchdown, but if he doesn't have it, he's going to be a really, really poor play. If you walk into your local grocer this week and you see Travis Kelce's face plastered on the side of a milk carton because he went missing this past week, it wouldn't shock me. Noah Gray almost had as many touchdowns too as Travis Kelce had targets, 4. But I think Travis Kelce bounces back this week. The Carolina Panthers allow the most fantasy points to the tight end position. Travis Kelce should take advantage of that. And while it would be super easy for me to list Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Trey McBride, David Njoku, whoever, top tight ends is my Manscaped must start, we don't do that around here. Let's be a little bit more risky with it. So this week, I'm going to go with Carolina tight end Ja'Tavion Sanders is my Manscaped must-start tight end of the week. He's got back-to-back top 12 performances at the tight end position. He has finished as a top 12 tight end in 3 of the last 4 games. And yeah, his targets fluctuate a little bit more than I would like. He's got a couple of games where he's only got 2 targets here over the last few games. But he's also got several games where he's had 5, 6, or even 7 targets. That's what we need this week in this matchup. It's going to be a difficult matchup for the wide receivers, so let's go with Ja'Tavion Sanders instead, who actually has a good matchup going up against Kansas City, who allow the most receiving yards to the tight end position. And with the holidays upon us, you got to start getting stocking stuffers, gifts, whatever it may be, and Manscaped is here to help you out with that. Tons of tools for everybody in your life. Head on over to manscaped.com and use code word headliners20 for 20% off your entire order and free shipping. Manscaped will make Christmas shopping super easy. At the tight end position, it's basically a wasteland for the Tennessee Titans. There's not really anybody there that is being utilized more than the others that has fantasy value. And for Houston, Dalton Schultz is coming off a game in which he had 7 targets. That's tied for the team lead. But there just isn't a whole lot of consistency with his production, even with Stefon Diggs being out. And now that Nico Collins is back, it's really hard to continue to try and look for that. If you're looking for an anytime touchdown bet that you want to place for a high payout, then Adam Troutman may be somebody that you want to take a look at this week. But if you're looking for your redraft league, I would definitely be looking other places instead of trying to depend on a tight end from the Denver Broncos. The matchups for the wide receivers, absolutely awful for Las Vegas this week. So Brock Bowers will more than likely be the main target once again. Will he have a huge day like he did last week? Probably not, but he'll probably lead the team in targets once again. George Kittle is a medium risk right now based on the injury factor alone. My hope is that he's going to be good to go for week 12. And if he is and is playing at 100%, he becomes a low risk option as one of the best tight ends in all of football for fantasy as well. I think for right now, I need to cool on Tucker Kraft a little bit. All the wide receivers in Green Bay are healthy, and he only had 1 target last week. We'll continue to monitor him moving forward. And if there's any positional injuries to the wide receivers, then maybe Tucker Kraft starts to see a few more targets. But as of right now, especially in a tougher matchup, I think it's best to avoid him. Trey McBride is an easy tight end 1 start basically every single week. He has one of the largest target shares of any tight end in football right now, and he's got a decent matchup this week. You don't need me to tell you. If you own Trey McBride, he's in your lineup. Seattle has made it known they like AJ Barner, and even even with Noah Fant out this past week, he still only saw 4 targets. So for me, when I take a look at AJ Barner, there's definitely some opportunity there, but with all 3 wide receivers healthy right now for Seattle, it's probably not worth it, especially when they'll run the football quite a bit with Kenneth Walker. Dallas Goedert's got back-to-back top 10 weeks at the tight end position since coming back from his injury, and now he's got a matchup where he absolutely could finish top 10 once again. I'm going to be really interested to see what the predictions are over on Underdog for Dallas Goedert a little bit later in the week. And just to give you all a heads up, over the past 2 weeks, for all of the pick'ems that I'm putting in my videos, I've nailed 10 of the last 15. And we have been absolutely seeing a ton of green over on our Discord, where we're posting player pick'ems all week long. If you're interested in checking some of those out and finishing in the green as much as we are and other members of the Headliner Nation community, think about becoming a member right now. Hit that blue join button down below. The $10 tier is going to get you access to our full Discord, including all of our player pick'ems for the week. One target, one touchdown for Colby Parkinson last weekend. Yeah, I'm not going to be betting on that every single week. With Isaiah Likely returning from injury last week, he actually ended up leading the team in receiving yards, while Mark Andrews kind of drifted to the back once again. Hopefully that is not a trend moving forward, because for those of you that either held on to Mark Andrews or picked him up off waivers after his original owner got upset, you've been dealing with some pretty decent fantasy upside over the last few weeks. He is going to be highly touchdown dependent, and we've seen this from Isaiah Likely. He has some good games here or there and then disappears at other times. This is not a great matchup this week. Yards, okay. Scoring opportunity for the tight ends, not great. Will Dissly might be a really good bet for those of you looking for a streaming option this week. Baltimore allows the second most receiving yards to the tight end position, and Will Dissly has at least 6 targets in 4 of his last 5 games. He's got some really nice value this week. Well, Headliner Nation, there it is. All of my tight end analysis, the football kind, for week 12. Make sure that you're getting out there on the waiver wire and trying to grab some of the guys that we talked about today if you need to fill the tight end position for week 12. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notification so anytime we drop new content, you'll know about it right away. But for now, Headliner Nation, I'm going to get out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.